Hey guys, what we're going to be looking at today is multiplying decimals. We're going to be looking at some tips and tricks on how to multiply decimals without a calculator. But before we get into that, I have a getting better at maths question for you here. We have a map of a neighborhood. And the question is, what is the grid reference of the lake? So the grid reference is going to be a combination of one of these letters and one of these numbers. And we need to use the key over here to identify the lake. So I'll give you a second to think about your answer here. Okay, hopefully you've had a go at doing this question yourself. The lake is here. It's the circle with the L in it, which is in the square B3. Right, here's a quick bit of revision from your last maths class. We're adding decimals here, so we just write down our decimals, keeping the decimal points in line. And then all we have to do now is do our addition. 5 plus 1. 5 plus 1 is 6. 7 plus 3 is 10. Carry the 1. 1 plus 2 plus 4 is 7. And then 1 plus nothing is 1. Right, and the process is very similar for subtraction. We keep our decimal points lined up. And we subtract. 4 minus 3 is 1. 2 minus 6, can't do that. 6 minus 12 is 6. 8 minus 7 is 1. 1 minus nothing is 1. Alright, moving on to multiplying. Now, the first tip we need to know about multiplying decimals is what happens when we multiply by a factor of 10. 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. Any number that is 1 followed by zeros is very easy to multiply by a decimal. So in this case we have 36.532 times 100. Now all that needs to happen is you need to count the number of zeros you have here, and then we need to, in this case there's 2, and then we need to take our decimal point and pick it up and move it by as many spaces as we have zeros. In this case there were 2 zeros, so we moved 2 jumps. And then the decimal point ends up here. The decimal point originally was in this spot, but now it's 2 spots over here. And in part B, 4.31 times 10,000. We count up our zeros here. There are 4. So we pick up our decimal point and we jump it 4 spaces. Now, we've done 2 jumps and now we've run out of numbers. So every time we jump over a number that's not there, we fill in a 0. And now we've done 4 jumps. So our answer now is 43100. And now normally we wouldn't write, if we were writing 26, we wouldn't put the decimal point there. But really it's always there if we're writing a whole number. The decimal point comes after it. We just don't write it because we already have a whole number, it doesn't mean anything. So in this case, we've shifted our decimal point from here where it started over 4 spaces to here, but we normally wouldn't write this decimal. We would just write the number, 43,100. Okay, that's multiplying by tens, hundreds, etc. What about multiplying by just regular numbers? I'm going to show you how to do that now. We remove the decimal point from our number. So 12.31 becomes just 1,231. And then we do our multiplication. 1 times 7 is 7. 3 times 7 is 21, carry the 2. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 2 is 16, carry the 1. 1 times 7 is 7, plus 1 is 8. So this is the answer. Now, we've taken out our decimal. We need to put it back in. Where do we put it? In our original number, there were 2 numbers after the decimal point. So that means in our new number, there needs to now also be 2 numbers after the decimal point. So we can pop our decimal point in right there. Okay, this example is a little bit more complicated, but it works exactly the same way. We get rid of both decimal points and just write the numbers down as is. And now we have to do this multiplication that's a bit more complicated. 9 times 3 is 27. Carry the 2. 9 times 6 is 54. Plus 2 is 56. 9 times... Carry the 5, sorry. 9 times 3 is 27. Plus 5 is 32. Now 6 times 3 is 18. Carry the 1. 6 times 6 . Ooh, sorry, I forgot my 0. Is 18. 6 times 6 is 36. Plus 1 is 37. Carry the 3. 6 times 3 is 18. Plus 3 is 21. And now to finish the multiplication, we just add these numbers up. 7 plus 0, 6 plus 8 is 14. 1 plus 2 plus 7. 1 plus 3 plus 1 and 2. Okay, so this number here is our answer. Now what we do is calculate the we add up the number of decimal places in the question. There are 3. So that means in our answer, there has to also be 3. So what we should do is we should finish off both of these questions by writing them all in one line. There we have it. Now one more example to combine the two things we just looked at. So in part A, we're taking this decimal and we're multiplying it by 40,000. So what we can do is we can forget about all these zeros for now and just deal with the 4 the same way we did in the previous question. Take out the decimal point, do the multiplication. 4 times 5 is 20. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 2 is 26. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 2 is 10. There were 2 decimal places in our question, so there need to be 2 in our answer. So now the question becomes 10.60 times, we have to add all of the zeros we took out back in. And now we have 4 zeros here, so we have to make 4 jumps with our decimal place. And the answer becomes 106,000. And we can do the same up here. We can start off by ignoring the zeros. And ignoring the decimal points. And just do 32 times 6. 2 times 6 is 12, 3 times 6 is 18, plus 1 is 19. Now we look up here at the question, and there are 3 decimal places in the question, so that means there are 3 decimal places in the answer. So now we take our number and we add the zeros back in. If there are 2 zeros here, that means we make 2 jumps with our decimal. And the answer becomes, 19.2. Okay guys, you are going to have the choice now of either 4 questions from the textbook or an EP lesson that you'll find linked on iLearn. Thanks guys.